Okay, folks, good morning. It's been a few days. And first things first, we need to clean this area up because it's a distracting mess hole here. All these little bits of paper that the decals create. Even with all the protections in place, there's always still one little speck of paint that splashes here, one that splashes there. All right. I'm going to go back to where we left off, which was doing the road wheels on these Shermans. Okay. Hopefully I'll be a little bit more awake this morning than the last couple of evenings. Alright, so we're going to take one of these Shermans here and get this out. I'll start with the fresh side. Not that these aren't reusable or anything. This is one of these things I could probably get away with not painting. Because we're going to weather over it. Let's just take the turret off. But somehow I'll know. I'll know that I didn't paint it. And it just takes a moment. Okay, that one's good. Something wrong with my screen? Is it not connected or something? It looks awfully dull. Okay, we're good. I think this other light is a little too close to it. It's kind of hard to see through the other light. Happy Saturday, folks. Uh-oh. Good morning, MP Model Plastic. Good morning to you. I'm doing better. I've had this cough it's a little bit less and less every day, but went to a game convention in Orlando. And based on the reports of the people on the Facebook group, I'd say fully half the people there got sick. Some kind of flu, which, lack of power was really the biggest thing. Just like everything being too much trouble. But that was weekend before last. I still have a lingering cough, but other than that, I'm 100%. That's also why this last week I only painted one day. I think I only came on Tuesday. That and my daughter's back from college, so we've been watching Band of Brothers. I have just enough energy to watch that. Then we've got 2 episodes left to go. But other than that, I'm great. Made it to the weekend. Speaking of plastic, I don't really care for plastic figures, but I'm definitely a fan of plastic vehicles. This stuff's real easy to work with, especially these. Yeah, as you start adding more and more little colors to these olive drab things, they start looking better and better. You can't judge just by one color. You're like, nah, they look drab. Well, I'm not done yet, you know? You're finishing a 1/72nd scale saber and Portuguese Air Force scheme. I've never built a plane from the 1950s. I can't say that I'm a fan. There's just certain periods of things that just doesn't interest me, and the 50s is one of them, unfortunately. I don't know what it is about it. I just don't. I just don't find them attractive. Actually, the cars from the 1950s weren't attractive either. Portuguese Air Force markings. They use roundels, don't they? I'm pretty sure they have roundels. And I gotta look. That's gonna drive me crazy. Portuguese F-86 Sabre. Oh, that's cool. I like the cross. I like that. You know what's hard for me to swallow with the Portuguese markings? I'm not a. Hopefully, I'm not offending you. You do get to decide the markings. Is I've done so much medieval stuff, and there's medieval stuff that's in your psyche, whether you realize it or not. And the red and the green next to each other, without a yellow or a white or something, it just looks, it just looks wrong. It just looks wrong. It's just something you're like, something isn't quite right about that. Just like if you look at the modern Russian flag, right? The blue and the red touch each other, and it just, right? I think so. And it's just like, that's like one of the rules of heraldry that gets broken. Um, Russian flag. Yeah, yeah. The blue and the red shouldn't touch each other, but they're not Western and they don't think of in the heraldry stuff. They just make whatever fucking rules they want. I think Russia should have stuck with once the Soviet Union came down. They should have stuck with the St. Andrew's cross personally, but nobody asked me. Or they actually have a jack. They have a jack that's kind of like the Union Jack ish, but the colors are reversed. Um, Russian Jack flag. See if I can find it. Yeah, something like this. One of these two. I would have gone with that. Either one of those two. See, there you've got a white in between the red and the blue. It's those heraldry rules, man. I can't get out of my head. You're suffering from pernicious anemia. You're gonna make me look things up on a Saturday, aren't you? So everything takes at least 3 times as long. Fiat G91. Why does that sound like those one planes that crashed in the air show in 1985 in Germany? It's fun. Hey, I like looking stuff up. That's the whole point. This is the whole point in building real things. Fiat G91. Fiat G91. That's actually a cool looking jet. That's a cool looking jet. Almost looks like an A4. It's actually better looking than an A4. A cute thing. Oh, they have one of War Thunder. That paint scheme's beautiful. I like roundels. I think roundels make a good look good. Yeah, I haven't built a jet aircraft. I guess I probably will at some point. Of course, I haven't finished the 2 aircraft that I have. Pernicious anemia. That sounds like lack of breathing, lack of oxygen flow through the lungs. Hey, I am not a science guy, so if I get it right, it's a miracle, or maybe it's a blood thing. Well, hope you're doing better, man. Anemia. Holy crap. Anemia. Anemia. Okay. Fatigue. Condition which the blood doesn't have enough healthy red blood cells and hemoglobin. Eat more red meat. Yeah. Yeah, I suffered that not that, but a week ago. Just everything's just too much trouble. Didn't really feel bad, but just like I was getting in and out of my car and I was fatigued. And it wasn't like I was out of breath. It was something different. Because I've been out of breath before. And it wasn't like how you feel where you're at altitude. It's just different. It's better different. I felt better different, but still it was like, oh, this is just too much trouble. How about I just sit here? How about I just sit here and watch Band of Brothers? Which my daughters really enjoyed it. We've got 2 more episodes to go, I think. And then we're going to roll into the Pacific. And then I don't know what we'll do. But I might as well make good use of that while she's here. I feel like I want to see the bridge too far again, but I saw it relatively recently and I wasn't really impressed. I liked half of the scenes, and half of the scenes I didn't like. Seemed either too hokey or they just threw too many. They threw too many well-known people in it. Starting intensive treatment on Monday, 6 injections of vitamin B12 twice a week over the next 3 weeks. I think that's one of those vitamins none of us get enough of. B12 and D. Now I'm going to print the decals for the MB-339 Italian jet used in Argentina Air Force in the Falklands War. So you say Falklands War in Argentina, and the only thing I know they used other planes, but the only ones I can think of is those French ones. Is it the Super Etendards or something like that? That's cool that you're doing unique countries. You know, people don't sit around and make Argentinian aircraft or Portuguese aircraft all the time. That's cool. I like that cross. Is that the Order of Avis? Man, I came really close to building a Portuguese army from like the Hundred Years' War period, and it just didn't get it off the ground. The land of Cork and the Tufts. The Gamer's Grass and the Army Painter Tufts come from Portugal. And of course, Cork. against the Sea Harrier for the British. Mirage, the thing to realize when watching the Pacific is that they have woven together the individual stories based on memories of 5 or 6 individuals. Makes more sense when you look at it that way. Well, I like watching those things so you get to see stuff in action. But I've never seen the bridge on the River Kwai. I've never seen it. I think I've seen parts of it, very small parts of it, but one of those movies that's probably too late to see now for the first time. You'd be disappointed, or I would be disappointed. I don't mind watching. I don't mind watching old movies, but it's ones that I've seen before that invoke some kind of memory. But just watching something that's old for the first time, you're like, man, this isn't very good, or this isn't what I thought it was. Of course, it's a prison type movie, so that's why I haven't seen it. My daughter's reaction while watching stuff like Band of Brothers, and you got these characters that are total slackers. She's real intolerant of them. She's watching it. It's so funny. Like, what's that slack? What the hell's that guy doing back? Get back in the thing. When they got what Dyke, the one, I gotta go talk to Regiment or whatever. It's like, that piece of shit. Just funny. It's just funny seeing, you know, getting called out by a girl. Well, she really liked Masters of the Air. I really didn't. It wasn't very. I always thought Band of Brothers was very focused on the unit, but man, it showed a lot of stuff that wasn't part of the unit along with it. But I thought Masters of the Air was like only bombers and like everything. It was very very focused. So I think the Pacific is probably more open than I've seen it before. I just don't remember it. I didn't like how it jumped around a lot, and that doesn't really confuse me at all. I just wish it hadn't jumped around a lot. But we're not going to sit through Thin Red Line, although I'm willing to give it a second watch. But I really don't want to have my daughter never watch a war movie with me again. I remember hating the living shit out of that movie. I missed this track, so we need to go ahead and do this so it can be dry. I'm starting to really dislike coffee. I don't like the taste of it anymore, and it's not keeping me awake. And I've had a lot of sleep the last couple of weeks. I mean, a lot more than I normally have. And the coffee just doesn't work like it used to. Well, I guess we touch up these things as we go if we encounter some other ones. It's still going to get weathering on it. Okay, that guy can go off to the side. We've already done this one. This is this Frontline Wargaming very crude model. Here's the Firefly. Okay, we have one little snippet of white that appeared there. Let's take care of that. And another one right here. We've already done these tracks. Let's go ahead and do the road wheels on the Firefly. A4 Skyhawk was the workhorse, Argentine Air Force. Also had the Bugatti, a locally produced ground attack aircraft which didn't see much action. UK Special Forces took most of them out. That's back when Britain still had a navy, right? You guys have like a tiny navy now. It's even smaller than the French navy. Or I don't like the way those new carriers look. But then nobody asked me. You enjoyed it as a poem? Well, you know, I'm actually surprised anybody likes that movie. But then other people watch war movies for different reasons than I do. I watch it simply for tactics and equipment in action. That's what I want to see. I don't care about the human reaction to the condition or the mental stuff that the people are going through. I'm sorry, it just doesn't interest me. You know, I want to see, you know, Sherman tanks like blowing stuff up, the guys going in and enveloping something, and you know, that's why I watch war movies. So if the movie is lacking in that department, I'm just not interested. You know, nothing against the veterans or anything. I'm just saying that's why I go to a movie. You know, just like people might not want to watch a war movie because there's no romance in there. Well, that's not what a war movie is about. You know, sometimes they stick those things in there to get certain people to want to watch them. But you know, that's my reasons for seeing. I want to see, you know, I want to see things in full color in action, doing the things that they do. That's my purpose in watching a war movie. You know, if I want to see black and white pictures or a poem or something like that, I would. Books will take you where you need to go and give you a lot more realistic information than that. That's where I think the Russians really shine. They make a pretty darn good effort at recreating more correct tanks than the Western Allies would do to show in movies. Now their stories are propaganda garbage, kumbaya communism garbage, you know, but at least they make a real good effort in, what was that, Pamfilov's 28? I hated the story. But you just skip it to the end with a battle with the Panzer IVs and stuff in the snow. It was great. I swear they used real Panzer IVs. I got to go through it with a real fine-tooth comb. But they made a really concerted effort of that. So, hey, I'm still a modeler at heart. I'm not going to be like, well, we need to buy special road wheels to make this Firefly more accurate. Yeah, we're not doing that. Especially when this cost me $1. So, I even considered buying some stuff that looked like crap on eBay and fixing it up. There's somebody was selling a bunch of King Tigers that don't look very good, and I'm like, you know, but it's gonna be like $17 with shipping for both of them, and I'm like, I'm just inheriting somebody else's problems. But there's always a challenge of like, see this thing look like crap? Now I'll show you what I made it look like. I don't know. There's just something in me that likes that challenge. Likes the challenge of taking something that looks not so great and fixing it up. For me, my favorite subject are the campaigns in North Africa. My favorite, the Africa Corps planes and tank. You know, I was thinking about Africa Corps. Well, not necessarily Africa Corps planes, but whatever Flieger Corps was there, 10th Flieger Corps, whatever it was. I don't really like the camouflage scheme that the German planes did in North Africa with the sand. It just looks sloppy. You know, if you look at like the plane, that's just my personal opinion. Marseille's plane, right? It's a 109F, and it's like yellow, and it's got like that little tiger symbol or leopard with the little native on there or something. That's okay. I just don't like that yellow with the splotches. It just looks. It just doesn't go together. You know, it just doesn't go together for me. That doesn't mean I wouldn't paint one. It just looks sloppy. You know. Africa Corps, I'm going to do Africa Corps, but my Africa Corps are going to be the early Africa Corps. They're in gray and then just got sandy on their own. I don't need more German vehicles that are painted some dunkelgelbish color. I know it's not dunkelgelb, but it's a sand. I just don't. I don't know. My Germans will be gray and dusty as shit, so you'll still see the gray underneath them. I did one just to kind of test the waters. I had a Panzer one that I painted up, and I think it turned out pretty well. But yeah, North Africa's cool. When I was doing naval, my favorite area was the Mediterranean. I love the Mediterranean. These road wheels are a little harder to get to than the other ones. Nothing crazy, but just got to look at it from different angles. If I can see it, I can get to it. This is all going to get weathered, so a lot of this is going to getting covered up anyways, but all right, that side's complete. This is a hell of a lot easier, less a pain in the ass than doing a shitload of Roman sandals. That's for sure. Oh shit. I just noticed something I shouldn't have noticed. Oh well, I can't unsee it now. Whoever built this put the running gear backwards. This is gonna stand now. Tough titty. I didn't build it. But if you look at the return rollers that are built in here, they're on the back side, and here all the return rollers are on the front side. And I noticed it because it's like this is really close to the front. Hey, shit happens. I didn't build it, and I'm certainly not going to fix it. It's a good way to destroy the thing. SDKFZ with a Flak 88. Not the old Airfix one. SDKFC 7. That's a good looking vehicle. It's an attractive vehicle. Big monster. What I didn't know is that there was a bigger version of it. Is it the SDKFC 9 or the 6 or one of them is basically like the supersized one. You know, if SDKFZ 7 is like a Tiger, then this other one is like the king tiger. And it looks the same. It's just, at first glance, it looks the same. But these are backwards too. Yep, every one of the road wheels is backwards. Fuck it, what am I going to do? Well, I have another Firefly to do. Hey, I put that one I put together. These belong to an older gentleman that... A lot of these models are like, oh, these are for like kids. You got to pay attention to what you're doing, or you're going to have trouble, or stuff isn't going to come out right. Is it the end of the world? Nah, it is what it is. I didn't put it together. It took me this long to notice it. It wasn't until I'm like, man, this road wheel is really close to the sprocket there. Yeah, who knows what kind of glue he did. I'm not tearing this apart. It's a lot less work to just throw this away and get another one, and I'm not going to throw it away. It'll be all right. Shit happens. Famo. You love the JU80. You mean the 87? You like the one with that big like a red and white snake? Snake. STKFZ9 is the bigger one. Okay. There was a 6 too, I think. Also, those are good looking. I don't know what it is about them. I really like the way the engine compartment looks. Rest of it looked kind of like a ride at the fair. All right, strap yourself in, folks. We're gonna go look at the animals. That's an attractive vehicle, though. So those quad tractors that the British used. I'm sorry, that the British and the Commonwealth used. I think those things are cute. But I think what I'm going to do is, since I'm working on these guys for this scenario, is I'm going to finish everything for this scenario, including trees and stuff, and then try to run it. I think that's what I'm going to do. That's what I should do. Because it's limited in scope. It's only a 4-turn scenario. But it does involve getting a church that I don't own. So the way I get around that is I'm like, all right, let's paint up the buildings I have, and then I've earned buying a church. But those churches are expensive, like almost $100. So we'll see. We'll do like 3 or 4. I got 3, 4, 5 buildings that I have. And once I'm really happy with that, well, then $100 is nothing. Just don't want to spend that kind of money and then not do anything with it. It's sit in a box with everything else. I've got enough things sitting around. Or just use a different building instead of a church, but it's not like there's any ground troops in that scenario at all where they can go in there and hide in the church unless you get blown out of your tank first. But anyways, that's what I should do. Whether or not I do that, when I go specifically that route or not, And I have a sneaky suspicion that the machine gun's on the wrong side of that. I hope I'm wrong. VC Firefly. Viet Cong Firefly? No, it's on the right one. It's on the correct side. Oh well, shit happens. Can't blame the dude for it. He's dead now. That's how I even got this. Is basically an estate sale. Another reason to get more Fireflies. Well, I got this other one from Britannia. Okay. Oh, we didn't paint the 50. Let's paint the 50. Looks so much better with all those little things painted. All right, take this turret off and move on to the next one. And these aren't weathered at all, so they're going to need... I don't think I'm going to go crazy with the weathering, because the next thing you know, every vehicle looks the same. I still want them to look British racing green. Hey, Marcus. Famo. Those Enter 11 road wheels just had to be a nightmare to fix. At least those were small, unlike the ones on the Panther that are huge. All right. Road wheel time. Yeah, I don't know how old he was when he built these things, but he was an older gentleman that I guess passed away in his early 90s, either late 80s or early 90s, so. You don't pay attention to some of this stuff, it'll invariably get built wrong. You know, I have one model by this company called First to Fight. It's a Polish company. And they do a lot of stuff that's geared towards either France or Poland in 1939. And their instructions on the back of the package, and there's so many fiddly little parts that it's not, handling because they're small. It's just like, it just says, put it here, like where? Like there's no sink marks, there's no, you got to consult pictures and stuff like that. I'm like, these are supposed to be like quick build kits, and anybody who's interested in a quick build kit is probably going to get a lot of that stuff wrong. Or, with even Plastic Soldier Company. I'm a huge fan of Plastic Soldier Company. Their instructions aren't the best. You'll have other pieces that aren't shown there, and you gotta open your eyes and use the internet to find some of these things. Unless you don't care, then it's up to you. What level of caring is up to you. It's modeling. You do whatever the hell you want with it. I know people, especially people that do aircraft, they'll go through, they'll buy this aftermarket cockpit because it's got the right instrument panel, and then they got the special aftermarket resin wheels that show how there's weight on them. So they'll do all that, and then when it comes to painting them, they're painted like they're in a showroom. They're not painted how I would, like they're in some kind of action. I mean, I think aircraft should be cleaner than tanks, but still, you'll see what I mean when I get that Spitfire down to that P-40. See kind of what I have envisioned, but and then I was watching somebody that was doing a video at lunchtime yesterday. I couldn't remember who the other Eastern European modeler is, other than I forgot the other one. Night Shift and Plasmo. That's the two guys. They make vehicles that look better than the real vehicle, but these just have way too much chipping for my taste. I mean, a tank that's that chipped up needs to be repainted. It looks good, but it's like it's been through a salt bath or something. But those guys put a lot of extra detail in it, and hey, that's what they enjoy doing. And I'm sure there's others just like them. That's just the two I can think of. But I don't want to build a plastic model that just sits in a shelf. At least this could have the opportunity of going out and I can roll dice with it or something. You're pinning up an old resin model from Bum of a Japanese Type 92 Niku tractor. Not much of a beast as a Famo, but still quite hefty. Japanese type. That Japanese half track they didn't make very many of? I think it's a cool looking vehicle. It might be a piece of crap, but Japanese, look, let's get an education here. Japanese Type 92 Niku. Well, I'm looking at the image and I don't know which one of these two vehicles the image is. Well, I guess it's this thing. It looks like a Stalinets tractor, a small one. I was reading some kind of article. I think it was an article or a comment. A comment I didn't bother commenting on. That was in one of the military sites, or anyways, one of the Facebook groups that I'm a member of for World War II pictures. and you're talking about Japanese machine guns, and it's like they were talking about, oh, it was a Bren gun, about a Bren gun. That's what it was. It was something about a Bren gun, and they said, oh, it was really good, but it wasn't as good as the Japanese light machine guns. And I'm like, that doesn't even deserve a comment. Somebody's got their head well under in the sand. Japanese light machine guns in the Second World War were like the Italian ones, basically a piece of shit that jammed all the time. Might have looked cool. I mean, it's cool to have a machine gun that has a bayonet on it, but no, they were terrible. Hopper fed. I mean, sure, they've got one that had like the banana clip, like the Bren, but the Bren was really reliable. Japanese machine guns were not reliable. And a lot of this Facebook, I don't get pulled into these conversations, but I see so many things on there that are just, you should be embarrassed of what you just typed. That's just, ridiculous. I'll never forget that one that I saw a couple of months ago. It was a picture of the battleship Tirpitz. I think the aft end of it or something like that. And people will argue about which side of the ship it is. And somebody's comment was, wasn't that the one that blew up the Invincible, the Battle of Jutland? I'm like, you need to just be quiet. You just stay in your corner. And then, of course, somebody goes, oh, I didn't know that. I need to look that up. The internet gives everybody a voice, regardless of the ignorance level of the poster. It's just so difficult for people to just realize that they don't know everything about a subject. There's lots of stuff I don't know about. But I'll look it up and maybe make a informed decision on it. When I do my British, I got quite a few Bren guns to do. I gotta find out why some of them had that stainless steel barrel, which I am not a fan of. I am not a fan of that look. It's kind of like the Firefly look on the barrel. It seems the Japanese copied European designs for their weapon, but also read and watched the same. We got to give you a bump. Oh, we got to go to the other chat anyways. Live chat. It should default to live chat. Yeah, the Japanese machine guns were notorious jammers. But they look cool. Yeah, picked up that Japanese self-propelled gun, and I'm disappointed that they only used that in very limited places. But again, it was $1. I'm sure I'll have $1 worth of enjoyment out of it. This is your last painting batch for the Pacific, and then it's back to the Eastern Front for me. T-26 set from Pegasus that I'm looking forward to modeling, then hand painting markings. It's easy to do. Just take it one letter at a time. Just take it one letter at a time. Yeah, the only thing I don't like about those Pegasus ones is the plastic seems almost transparent and brittle as hell. But they have nice detail. Those T26s actually turned out really nice. The ones that I have, I'm pretty happy with them. I haven't used them yet, but I'm sure there'll be Panzer III fodder at some day. Okay. And then we do the 50 on this guy. We'll do the tools after we do the weathering. I don't like the weathering over the tools. It gets them to blend in too much. The whole point is to give it something interesting to look at. Hey, that's just the style that I want to go for. All right, and that Shermie's done. We're going to skip over the crab. We don't need to finish the crab right now. I just wanted to kind of... This is one of these things, if it ever hits the ground, it's going to fall in a million pieces. Old Britannia crab. This one has no machine gun, or I just took it off. Okay. No, we can get it later. Tracks are good. Tracks are good. All right. Yeah, I like the painting of the decals of the slogans and markings because it keeps you from like. First of all, I've looked at a lot of decal sets, and there's a lot of the same decals over and over and over and over regurgitated, and there's a lot of things that are skipped over. And you could spend a lot of money on decals, or you could get them and they're not very good, or they're thick. Those Petting House has so many decal sets, and I won't buy anything from them again because they're too thick, and I have to cut all the things out. You know, it's like, why am I paying for this type of torture? Now, I expect more of the Germans, you know. I expect more from them, so I'm like, I just paint my own. Not in every circumstance, but many times. I'm glad I actually found a use for those Polish crosses. I had so many of them, and it's like, just paint the centers of them black. Because I'm never painting any white crosses as my on German vehicles. It just looks wrong. I don't care if they used them. It just looks so wrong. I mean, unless you're trying to masquerade as the Swiss Army. I actually found a scenario in this book that involves another scenario that's in the face of battle that's relatively small and actually the Germans are SS in that. I'm like, okay, well maybe if I got to paint SS guys, I know I've got that many. I probably have 30 or 35, 40 SS dudes. But they're like a tank hunter group. It's up here on top. Counterpunch at Saint Angone. Got a pair of Sherman 5s and 2 infantry squads for the British. Elements of A Squadron, another A Squadron. Number 3 Troop, Northamptonshire Yeomanry. Elements of A Company, 1st Black Watch. That's got to be Scots.